Distinguished, wow, get interrupted by the recording. Got it. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, it's my great pleasure in the absence of our president, Melanie, to welcome you to today's meeting. There's some business items that are to be discussed first, but I also will ask our guests for a brief introduction and to tell us how you found out about Toastmasters. But let's go with Toastmaster business. Point of order. Our dues should be paid. You will be getting a message from our treasurer, Brigitte Jonas, in the very near future, asking you to pay your membership fees for the period April to September. It's not a lot of money, and I think it's totally worth it. That's the first point. The second point, I'd like to remind you that we are meeting with a certain kind of pattern. Our first meeting of the month is always in person, and our second is online. And as long as COVID is still rearing its ugly head over us, we probably will stay that way, although things are always subject to change. The third thing, contests are coming up, and I'm very proud of the fact that we are going to have Cilla representing us in the International Speech Contest, and I believe Melanie representing us in the Table Topics competition. I only can say if you've never been to a contest, it's definitely worth participating in. You might even want to take a role. And if you want to find out more about contests, you're welcome to ask me any question you might have. It's a really fun experience, and you learn an awful lot as well. With that, I'd like to give the floor to our membership vice president, who is now going to give us some information about an upcoming event. So Ines, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Presiding Officer, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. We have been thinking in the executive committee of a way to get out of a rut. That means having a different type of Toastmasters meeting, which should be really joyful, especially in these times, in these trying times. And we also want to have a larger social component. And therefore, we have been looking at the possibility to bring us together as members at one table, actually outside the VIC. We had planned actually a meeting in December. Of course, because of COVID, things were moved, dates were not very clear, we could not hold this. So that's why we decided to have a spring meeting. So what we will do now is bringing you together in the Ark Hotel, and this Ark Hotel is right across the VIC, 5 minutes walking distance, and we will have a meeting. We will have a Toastmaster lunch meeting on the 5th of April. Please mark this in your calendar. That is a Tuesday afternoon from 12 to 2 o'clock, and we will have a lunch, kind of a Toastmasters business lunch. We got a very good deal from the hotel with a buffet, with starters, with enough drinks, but we will have also a normal or a semi-normal meeting while we are socializing, of course. The details will be communicated to you, and I can already give you a small detail, and this is it would cost us €15 per member, you could say. And the club is also helping us and going to give their input as well. You know, this is also something which we could really joyfully say, that the club is not only asking you to pay, but it's also giving you something back. So this is what we are looking at it at the moment, and before the end of the week, you would get an email, or all members are getting an email from us. One thing I have to mention is that the requirement of the ARC Hotel was that we would have a 2G or a recovery certificate. So no test will be accepted unless, of course, things will change again in April, because we know we are in a very fluid situation as to the requirements and what the government also is asking us to put forward. We hope that it would stay with 2G or a COVID recovery certificate from a medical institute, could be the VIC, for example, or VIC Medical. With that, I'm giving the floor back to Maria Teresa, the presiding officer.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ina. So, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, mark your calendars, the 5th of April, a Tuesday, lunchtime. You don't want to miss it. Be sure you're there. So now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our guests. And a couple of our guests have already been to Toastmaster meetings, but still it's something we ordinarily do. And I continue this tradition. So the first person I'd like to ask is Toastmaster Julia to say hi and tell us again how you found out about Toastmasters and why you're here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yulia Vistovna. I'm isotope hydrologist in NACA, in Atomic Agency. Actually, I found out about the Toastmaster from my section head, who had some experience, and she told what it will help us to improve our public speaking skills. So and I was happy to find what we have club in VIC. So this is like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julia. We have to find out who your section head is, that we somehow praise him and thank him for his recruiting efforts.
It's woman, female.
Oh, well, tell me who that is.
Jody Miller.
I'm sorry?
Jody Miller.
Okay, I'll have to touch base with her. The next person who's a guest, but not a first-time Toastmaster visitor, is Toastmaster, distinguished guest Clara. Clara, would you please introduce yourself to the group?
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Clara. I come from Slovenia, and I am here at the agency as an intern. I work right now in the same department as Julia, but I received the information about this club from my mentor, Lucia Ortega. And she said that it would be a really good idea to go to this club so I can learn more how to present stuff and be more courage when speaking.
Okay, we have to take note of that as well. And now I see, well, I don't see him, but we have a first-time guest, and that happens to be Martin. Tell us how you found out about Toastmasters and why you're interested.
Hello, everybody. First of all, thank you for welcoming me here. My name is Martin. I'm an intern at IEA. And I think I found out about this Toastmasters Club when I was in Rotary back in Azerbaijan. So I heard about it somewhere, and it was a few years ago, so I don't remember exactly. But then I decided to join the club and to improve my speaking skills, to gain confidence in speaking. So yeah, that's shortly it. Thank you again.
Okay, well, let's give Martin a round of applause, taking that very first step. In case you're really seriously interested, I suggest you touch base with our membership vice president, Ines. So now that I've taken care of all the formalities, it's time to go into the meeting. So I'm going to put you in the very capable hands of our Toastmaster of the day, who I know is a very dedicated, energetic person. And I'm sure we're going to feel that energy throughout this meeting. Without any further ado, I give the floor to our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Tatiana.
Thank you very much, Madam Presiding Officer, distinguished guests and Toastmasters. Welcome to the meeting, and I hope to be energized and share with you my energy, as I do agree that we should not only train and engage into those meetings for the sake of having our speech and skills improved, but we also here to enjoy the life and every day of life. And one of the moments of life I would like to bring to you today is that it is the spring celebration of Nowruz, and I think we have here those who are really celebrating this week. For example, Azerbaijan, my colleagues shared with me that the celebration is going on, and spring is indeed the time which is also the beginning of many beginnings and hopes which we all, I think, share in those challenging times we all face. I also would like to share with you my personal feelings. I haven't been in the club meeting since another epoch, if I may share. The times have changed so much for me personally that I'm really happy to be back in spring, in Nowruz, and with you, knowing that this club and this meeting we are having today is giving us an opportunity to build our skills to communicate. And I would like to, for all of us, to keep it in mind. We need to communicate properly and to bring and put forward the message to avoid any conflicts. With this, please let me introduce the meeting we have today. We have a quite a full agenda, I would say. We have two speakers who are going to be presenting today, and we are also going to have a pleasure of participating in the topics discussion to be brought up by another distinguished Toastmaster group member, and we will have, of course, evaluations and discussion about results of this meeting. For that, of course, one cannot do alone. I should also introduce the support team which we have today at the meeting, headed by distinguished Toastmasters Monika as a general evaluator. Monika, please introduce the team who is going to help you today.
Do you want to say something else?
No, I didn't hear you. I thought there is an issue with audio, but it is not any.
Okay, perfect. So thank you very much for the introduction. I have the honor today to be the general evaluator. So Toastmasters, where leaders are made, and we come to Toastmasters to become better leaders and also better speakers. And in order to do so, we need feedback. Feedback is really important because with feedback, we grow. So giving constructive feedback is one of the key elements of our meetings. As a general evaluator, I will be observing the conduct of the meeting. And at the end of the meeting, I will provide a report. And I will tell you what went wrong or what went good as well. But as you said, Toastmaster Tatiana, we have a team. We cannot do that alone. So I have a very special team that will assist me in these duties. First of all, I would like to introduce the evaluators who will be evaluating the speakers. We have two, as you said today. Our first evaluator is Toastmaster Maria Teresa. She will be evaluating our first speaker, who is Toastmaster Cilla. And our second evaluator is Toastmaster Ines, who will be evaluating our second speaker, who is Toastmasters Nicole. I will introduce the rest of my team now, and we'll ask them to briefly describe their role, especially for the ones who are new. We have a timekeeper, a very important person in the meeting, who this time, if I'm not wrong, is going to be Toastmaster Rina. Would you briefly explain your role, please? We cannot hear you, Toastmaster Rina. Okay. I think her micro is not working. So I will continue with the rest of the team, and perhaps at the end of the of the presentation of this slot, then Rina will have her micro working again. We have a grammarian as well. Our grammarian today is going to be Toastmaster Lilly. Would you please, Lilly, could you please explain your role?
I will be looking at the use of language and pointing out any corrections that I find, and also any good uses of language. I also have a word of the day, coach. Now, when I thought of the word coach for the word of the day, I was thinking in terms of coaching. So I looked up the definition that was being provided, and it was in terms of sports teams, because you have basketball coaches and football coaches. And I was thinking in terms of personal coaches and training in public speaking, for example. And the first thing that I found when I looked up the definition was a bus, a coach that brings you, or even a stagecoach driven by horses. So there are many uses for the word coach. You can choose your own use of the word. The word is used for trainers, for people who are coaching, teaching, training others in areas of personal development or sport, and also of bringing people from one place to another. So in that sense, you can probably see there is possibly a relationship between the use of the word coach in terms of the bus that carries you from one place to the next, and the trainer who takes you from where you are now to where you want to go. The word of the day is coach. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Lilly. We also have an ACK counter. And today's ACK counter is going to be Toastmasters Adriana. Would you please briefly explain your role?
Of course. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. The purpose of the ACK counter is to note words and sounds that are used as pause or filler words by anyone who speaks. And during the meeting, I will listen to overused words, including as well and, but, so, you know. And I will also listen to those filler words, including or air. And I will note all those uses and present a report at the end of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toastmasters Adriana. This is a very tricky role, very important, and I think I need a coach to get rid of my aunts. We also have a ballot counter, and this time our ballot counter is Toastmaster Essen. I'm not sure if he's here already. No, he doesn't seem to be here. Would someone else like to take over this role? Otherwise, I can do it.
That will be appreciated, Monika, if nobody else would vote for that.
I will do that then.
If you can please explain the role then.
Yes, the role is about, as you said, we were going to have a session of table topics today. At the end of this session, we are going to vote for the best speakers in this table topic session, and I will announce who got the most votes, who's the winner. I see that our timekeeper, Toastmaster Rina, she says she will be posting the timing in the chat. So you can have a look at the chat and you will know exactly what the timing will be for the speakers and for the table topic speakers as well. Now it's the time for the prepared speeches, and I would like to give back the word to our Toastmasters of the day, Toastmaster Tatiana.
Thanks a lot, Madam General Evaluator. 2 points of order, if I may. For the timekeeper, it's not only about the time to be put in the chat, but particularly important to know that there is a color coding for our speeches. And for that, we use 3 colors, green, yellow, and red, to prompt the speakers when their speech is already at the time or crossing the time. Now the red is for when the time is over, green is for the time is reached, and yellow is kind of in between when there is need to speed up or close the speech. And another point of order, I always admire the grammarian role and always forget to give it or mention that when I am a grammarian, but there is also a grammarian crown. And maybe Lilly, you would like to add a couple of words on that particular crown or plans which you might have to give it to somebody, and as a result of what?
The grammarian's crown will be presented to the person who has the most exquisite use of language or terminology.
Thank you very much, Madam Grammarian. And with this, we are completing the introductory part of the meeting and going to the core business, which is actually the speeches. And for the first speaker, I would like to introduce Toastmaster Cilla, who is a very experienced speaker with a lot of expiring and excellently delivered speeches I have witnessed with my own eyes. For today, she will be speaking about as a part of competition speech preparation. And I would like to ask the evaluator of her speech, Toastmaster Maria Teresa, who has a double role of presiding officer and the evaluator of that speech, to make an introduction of Cilla's speech. Maria Teresa, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Actually, in this instance, the purpose of this speech is to win the competition. Okay? Ordinarily, we have with our Pathways projects always objectives of what you're supposed to accomplish, and then you're judged on the basis of that. But in this instance, I think quite honestly, we want our contestant to proceed to the next level. We want her to win. So I'm going to be a little bit strict because it is a competition speech, but I want to give her valuable feedback that she has the opportunity to move to a next level. I think she's totally capable of it.
Thank you very much, Madam Evaluator. And with this, we shouldn't make any more breaks, please. The speech is up. Cilla, please, the floor is yours.
Bruce Lee once said, "Be water, my friend." Be water. What does that mean to you, my friends? In his own words, Bruce Lee said, "Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless. When you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. When you put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. And when you put water into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water can flow or it can crush. Be water, my friend." So Bruce Lee is telling us to be a cup, a bottle, or a teapot. Don't worry, my friends. I'm not here to teach you martial arts today. I'm just here to share with you what my mom has gone through and what I have learned from her. My mom and dad were born in the late 60s in China, in the southern part of the country, and they have gone through some of the most challenging time in the country. Great Lip Movement, Cultural Revolution, Gang of Four, all these terms that we learn from historical books these days, where millions of Chinese were starved to death, where they had their hopes and dreams crushed, where millions of them died because fighting for the country. My mom and dad lived through that. In fact, they actually left the country and moved to Hong Kong in the late 70s at the end of the Cultural Revolution. You guys are so lucky that you can go to school. My mom used to say that to me and my sister with tears in her eyes. What? To go to school is lucky? Everyone does that in Hong Kong anyway, and for free. You have no idea how much I would love to study and how hard I have tried, Mom used to say. Yes, little did I know how much she had gone through during those years, during Cultural Revolution, when a whole generation of young Chinese were sent to work in the villages instead of going to school in the cities. And yes, little did I know how it felt to work in a steel factory in the village when she had to wash her hands every day with sandpaper, because otherwise the color of the steel wouldn't come off. And yes, little did I know of her disappointment that she felt when her university application was rejected every year and for 8 consecutive years. How did she manage to go through those years when all she wanted was nothing but to study? When all she wanted was nothing but the chance to compete on equal grounds, and when all she wanted was nothing but the possibility to master your own lives. See, my grandfather passed on to her the love to read and write, but he also passed on to her the status of a capitalist because he was the owner of a business. And because of that, Mom's application was rejected every year. My mom stopped trying after the 8th year. She went to Hong Kong, she started her family, but she never stopped reminding us and all those people around her how precious it is to go to school, to be able to study, and to be able to master your own lives. For me, she has never stopped. She learned while she was working, and retiring was not even an option. She doesn't have a university degree, but I have never seen anyone who loves learning as much as she does. So I guess to keep flowing like water, we need mind to be as strong as ice. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, haven't we all behaved like water since the beginning of the pandemic? Bam, one day to the next, national lockdown, no shops, restaurants, nothing apart from those providing essential services. And bam, one day to the next, we all started working from home instead of going back to the office. Cleaning up the apartment, cooking for ourselves, doing everything that you can possibly imagine on our own. For there was simply no choice. And bam, one day to the next, we might not be able to see our colleagues, friends, or even family because they, us, or both might have got COVID. And with the constant change in the government policy and situation, we all adapt. We all flow like water. My friend, in a world that is constantly changing and moving, it seems critical that we all keep flowing like water, be as flexible and as adaptable as water. But how can we keep flowing nonstop? Where do you get that energy from? See, no matter what shape water takes, its core the essence doesn't change. It's still H2O. So I guess in order to keep flowing like water, the more important question is, what is your essence and what is your H2O? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam First Speaker, for a very inspiring introduction into what all of us have to learn unless it's already mastered. We do have to flow with the go and go with the flow and be water in any circumstances we face. Now, I'm sure we are all impressed, but it's time to also provide some feedback in writing to our distinguished speaker. I'm giving 1 minute for everyone to share their impressions, encourage the improvements, and of course, express appreciations to Cilla. This is what I'm going to do. So 1 minute for the feedback. And now I have a pleasure to introduce the second speaker. And the second speech for today is going to be delivered by a distinguished Toastmaster, Nicole. There is a history behind this speech. And of course, we went through some part of the preparations for that speech. Some of us who are eager to learn how to evaluate, not only to speak properly, but also how to evaluate others' speeches and how to improve our evaluation skills. Nicole is a master of speeches, and she's also a master of evaluations now because she's delivering the workshop on evaluation skills, and today we are going to hear about how it went. For Nicole, we have a distinguished Toastmaster evaluator, Ines, who would introduce to us what is going to be presented. Ines, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Toastmaster Nicole is not only a great coach, but she's also challenging herself all the time. The project she is delivering has actually two parts. One is the introduction of a plan and her vision, and that was actually the presentation for the workshop. She has been evaluated in this first part by Toastmaster Lilly. I'm evaluating the second part, which is sharing of some of the aspects of her experience to complete the project and to work with the team. Toastmaster Nicole should deliver actually a very engaging speech, a very committed one. And I am sure she's not going to give us a project, but she's going to give her all of her emotions and what she actually learned and experienced. May I hand over the floor back to Toastmaster Tatiana, who's the General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Madam Second Evaluator. I would rather say I'm a Toastmaster of the day, but the role which you are assigning to me is still kept by Toastmaster Monika, and I have a pleasure to introduce the speech of our second speaker. Nicole, please, The floor is yours.
Are you always at ease when you have to give feedback? Feedback to a worker working for you, feedback to a colleague, feedback to a friend, feedback to a member of your family. When I say feedback, I mean an honest and useful and a tactful feedback. If that's the case, then do take the role of evaluator as often as you can in Toastmasters. If that's not the case, then you might be interested in what I have to tell you today. Fellow Toastmasters and the guests, a few months ago, I had the idea of organizing a series of workshops on how to enhance our evaluation abilities. Why did I do that? Well, because I really deeply think that to become a better speaker, participating in club meetings and speaking, practicing is of course essential. But if you're not evaluated, then you might keep on making the same mistakes again and again and again and again. So the first workshop was about evaluation in general, with a few principles, guidelines, tips at the beginning, and then practice, and then of course, a general evaluation. The second workshop was about evaluation in the role of a judge in a competition. But that second workshop had a second aim, and it was to support our only nominee for the international speech contest at the area level and help her by a useful, tactful, and honest evaluation. The first workshop was attended by 15 people, including 3 guests. The second workshop was attended by 8 people, including 1 guest. That means 7 members. What are the lessons I drew from the exercise? The first lesson I drew was that I could count on the full support from beginning to end of my team, because I didn't do that alone. There was a team behind me. And a great part of the team was from the executive committee. And I would like to take the opportunity today to thank them again for their help and their support. The second conclusion or lesson I drew was that maybe I underestimated Zoom fatigue. I know that you all have to work in front of a screen during the whole day and you have meetings on Zoom. So at lunchtime, you might want to just get away from it all and go outside and have lunch with friends and not stay in front of the screen. What I might have overestimated was the interest for the subject evaluation. Because I think that particularly in the second meeting, there were very, very, very few members. So I might also have overestimated the priority that you give to this club, but most importantly, your commitment. To be totally honest with you, I was a bit sad to see so few members for an exercise that was, in my view, important. That is to support, to help our only nominee. And today, I'm very glad to see that Cilla, in my view at least, delivered a wonderful and very touching speech, and she doesn't need coaching for that. But let the past be the past and think a little bit about the future. What is it that we want to do in the future? You might think that evaluation as we do it right now in our club is okay, and I can accept that. I have no problem with that. you might think that, oh, well, it might be worth having a look at the workshops, which you can do that because both workshops were recorded. If you don't think that you have the time to spend an hour in front of the screen again, watching a workshop, there are a lot of little videos, 10 minutes, not more, on the internet. And one of them was put there by Toastmasters International, and it doesn't last more than 10 minutes. And it's full of very useful tips. Or we might want to do something more in the club. So we might want to have, for instance, a super evaluator, but we might not want to add another role. So the general evaluator could do that. The general evaluator could evaluate the evaluation section systematically. Or we could do for the evaluators what we do to the speakers, and that is evaluate them by giving our remarks on a small piece of paper. For instance, by telling them what we think, it's always a personal opinion, their strong points are and what could be done better in the evaluation. For fellow Toastmasters and guests, in my opinion, an evaluation is like a box of chocolates which is offered to us. One thing is sure, the chocolates are not poisoned. Then you might choose to eat the whole box, in which case you might get some indigestion from it. You might choose to eat just a few chocolates, or you might choose to put the whole box away. At the end of the day, it remains your choice. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Madam Second Speaker, Nicole, for really coaching us into the evaluation role, which indeed is useful not only for the club and what we are doing here now, but also for our everyday life, how to make it constructive and how to do it properly to engage with the speaker and with the action we would like to follow. I apologize from my side. I really wanted to attend the second workshop and I didn't manage, but I'm sure all of us have that urge now to at least look at the recordings of those sessions and to use your advice to go and watch the small videos which are available elsewhere. Now I would like to launch a 1-minute evaluation of the speech. Just as a reminder, we are all in an online environment, and instead of using pieces of paper, which we are usually doing, we are providing this written evaluation or suggestions or any reaction you had for the speaker in a direct chat with the speaker. So now we are completing the part of prepared speeches for the current meeting. And I'm sure we are appreciating the lessons and emotions that both speakers have shared with us and we learned from them. We also have another very exciting part of the meeting, which is dedicated to unprepared speeches. Another opportunity for all of us to practice in a short speech the skills we are learning here and we are trying to apply every time we are providing our audio or oral feedback or information. Today, we have Benjamin, I think for the first time, having this role, second time, I'm sorry, I'm not always here. So Benjamin is our distinguished topics master of the day, and he would be the one leading the section was impromptu speeches. Benjamin, the floor is yours.
Dear Toastmaster of the day, thank you. I was looking for questions or general topics for this topic master session. And I am now at the end of a project. We are now drafting the report of a 3 years project. And we have had a lot of problems in this project, especially data gaps. And we are now writing a learning from experience document. And one of the steering committee members just said, sorry, but for me, this is not lesson learned. It's more that the entire project didn't work. Anyway, the end of the email of that person was this sentence: failure is always much more productive than success. This gave me the idea to orientate the topic master on general quotes, and I would like to have your feeling on those quotes. And the first one will be this one. I was aiming at asking Alma, but I guess she's not here if I'm correct. So maybe I see that Vodnia, do you want to jump in for the first question? I'm sorry I asked you last time also. So yeah, what is your feeling? Can you give us an example, or if you agree or do not agree with this sentence? Failure is always much more productive than success. The floor is yours.
Fellow Toastmaster, honored guest, I greet you all. Ben, thank you for choosing me. That's the reason why I come here, to be engaged and learn and speak better. Failure is more productive than success. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky question. Bonaparte, Robert Greene talks about Bonaparte, and he says that 10 years Bonaparte was only winning, and they made him lose focus. But failure make people focus even more and reach higher successes. In my private life, I am scared to death from failure, that sometimes I have even not started the project because of the shame of the failure, or the shame of how bad would I look if I failed. I was reading yesterday what are 7 fears of the humanity, and apparently one of the biggest fears, one of the 7 biggest fear after death is to fail. However, I've reached a stage in my life that success is to do the right thing, the ability to follow your instinct, and the ability to feel that you have done the right thing, to follow your instinct, to do the right thing, to do what you think it's right for you, for your self-fulfilling, for your self-actualization. And success as well is the ability to stand straight and head up. In that context, sometimes I do believe that failure makes you focus and extract the biggest lesson to reach for a higher success. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this very inspiring thought. Keeping up on this failure subject, if I may ask Maria Teresa's feeling on the following quote from James Cameron: if you set your goals ridiculously high and it's a failure, you will fail above everyone else. Success. Maria Teresa.
Benjamin, could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. I would like to have your feeling or an example in your life, or if you do agree with this quote from James Cameron, and the quote is: if you set your goals ridiculously high and it's a failure, you will fail above everyone else. Success.
Thank you, Mr. Topics Master. Fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, he might be a great film director, but I don't agree with him. I always think you have to aim high. You know, I hate complacency. I hate, middle of the road. If I have a goal, of course, I want to reach it. But I try to set realistic goals. I don't try to imagine things that I know deep down I can't do. I try to set myself focused, point 1, point 2, point 3. How do I reach that goal? So I think the important component in all of this is understanding what you're capable of doing and what you're not capable of doing. Although I do admit sometimes we have to go outside of our comfort zone. We have to aim particularly high. Otherwise, we just somehow stay at the bottom. I know for myself, when I first started public speaking, I was scared to death. I flushed, I sweated, I dreaded a table topic. I'm not dreading a table topic anymore. I personally think it's one of the fun elements of the Toastmasters Club. And you never know how far you're going to get with it and when you're going to start to dry up. That happened to me at the beginning. I was fine for about 30 seconds, and then I went into the valley and couldn't figure out what else to say. Okay, but back to aiming high. In Toastmasters and in our club, we are trying to achieve a certain level of excellence. It's not always going to be perfect. God, I know. I mean, look at all of us. We all have our little whatever. But at least I think we always should aim high and don't give up on that. And with that, I return control to our topics master, Toastmaster Ben.
Thank you very much, Maria Teresa. I completely agree with you that we should set realistic goals, anything we're doing, because we could get very disappointed if we have unrealistic expectations for anything in life. Talking about life, I have the next quote that I would like the feeling or an example from Rena. The quote is from Eleanor Roosevelt, and she's saying, if life were predictable, it would cease to be life and be without flavor. Rena, what's your feeling on this one?
Rena has no sound. She can't speak.
Okay. Inez, do you want to jump in for this one? I can repeat it if you want.
Can you please repeat it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to have your feeling or an example on the following quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. And the quote is, if life were predictable, it would cease to be life and be without flavor.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guest, Toastmaster, Table Topics Master, Eleanor Roosevelt. Who's that? Who's that, actually? We have in our own environment a lot of Eleanor Roosevelts. Whether these are the female versions or whether these are the male versions, we have them. Look around you. Look around you. Of course, things are not predictable. And if life would be predictable, it would be very boring. I think in life, we need a challenge at every level. That's why we are also interested in life. That makes life worth living, and it makes life what life is about. This woman, at that time in the USA, was living in a zeitgeist where she as a woman had enormous challenges among all her female and male counterparts. And she was really a person who said, no, I want to do it differently. It is this difference which really makes it different for all of us, especially at the end of our lives when we can say, wow, I did it and I did not regret it 1 inch. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Ines. The next one, also a general quote. I would like to ask Julia, if you're okay with that. The quote is from Benjamin Franklin, and here it is. Tell me and I forget, full stop. Teach me and I remember, full stop. Involve me and I learn, full stop. What's your feeling on this one? An example, or if you agree or not agree with this one?
Surprisingly, I would agree with that. Normally, I'm not person to be agree with something directly, but here I would agree. Actually, all my life, I present a combination of skills. I'm a kind of universal person. And it's because of my coach, actually. Thanks for this question today, because we are touching with them, we are communicating with them, we have the moments with them, but we're keeping all our life. We're involved and they're involving us in our professional life, and we are looking behind their professional life. We are looking to their lifestyle. We are learning from them. We are coupling ourselves from their experience. So, and I think this is also a lifelong process, because if we are not already we don't have this coach directly, we are still remember, we keep it in memory and reanalyzing that all our life long.
Thank you very much, Julia. Completely agree. I'm on the same line as you. I think coaching is great, but it's even better if it has a bottom-up approach and participants of any type of workshops are already getting the knowledge by playing with the cards, for example. The last quote I would like to discuss with Pinar, maybe, if Pinar loses us. It's actually a translation from French, and the rough translation is act where you live, think with the world. Or in other words, get involved in your local community while getting inspiration from the entire world. It's from Edouard Glissant. Pinar, do you want to give us your feeling on this one, if you agree or not, or an example?
It is very interesting quote. It is my first time I have ever heard it. I think I believe in that. I agree with this quote because I was born in Turkey, and my local town was very conservative, but I was lucky because my father was thinking worldwide, and he behaved us like we were we were not living in little town, like he behaved us like we were living like center of the Europe. That's why I think that's why I'm open-minded person. And also there is another not maybe quote or expression, I don't know how can I define it. Where you is born, it means it is your destiny also. But now we can think globally. I mean, because of the technology, right now I can reach anywhere at any place in the world. So thinking worldwide make us, I think, wise person. Yeah, totally. I agree with this quote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pinar. Also very agree with this quote. When talking about sustainable development, buy locally your food while getting inspiration for what to buy from the entire world or internet, for example. With this, I would like to close the topic master session and give back the control of the session to to Toastmaster of the day, Tatiana.
Thank you very much. Toastmaster Benjamin, the topics master of the day. So we've heard many words of wisdoms. For some, those are not agreeable words. For some, they ring the bells. So now is the time to see how exactly the people who are called to speak about the quotes, they managed to express in 1 minute what exactly the quote was about. We have the feedback session or bailout on that, which is going to be conducted by Monika. So everyone could write to Monika in the next 1 minute to whom you would give your vote. And maybe, Benjamin, you could please remind us who was speaking and about what, maybe not giving the full quotes for the sake of time. Thank you.
Sure. So about the failure quotes, the first two ones, we had Vojna first, and then the one from James Cameron, Maria Teresa, which did not agree at all with this one. The third one from Eleanor Roosevelt about life and the predictability of life was Inez. Then we had Julia for the quote about involving instead of teaching from Benjamin Franklin. And the last one, translated from French, about getting involved with your local community, was answered by Pinar.
Appreciated the overview, distinguished Toastmaster, topics master of the day. And I think with this 1 minute for voting comes to its end. I hope that Monika has received the votes.
Not many, not many, so please send me your votes. We still have some seconds.
Yes.
Thank you.
While we are all sending our votes, maybe it is time to confirm that the two key parts of the meeting, which are prepared speeches and unprepared speeches, so-called table topics, presentations, impromptu speeches, are closed for the day. We had many speeches, we had many ideas coming our end, and I think we are learning and getting coached by each other on different subjects and on different topics, depending on what our thinking is now and what kind of mood we have today. We had the main part of the meeting now concluded, and the evaluation of the meeting is on its way. With this, I would like to share the control of the meeting with the general evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster Monika. Please, if you can introduce the evaluation section of the meeting, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of today. So now the give part is going to start. As Nicole said, this is one of the most important parts because our whole life we're supposed to give feedback, and feedback is constructive. So I would like to call our first evaluator, who is Toastmaster Maria Teresa. She will give the evaluation of the first speaker, Toastmaster Cilla. So Toastmaster Maria Teresa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, this is a competition speech, which has a very special quality. I think Cilla has basically fulfilled the requirements of the speech, but here are my comments. hopefully honest, tactful, and useful. You see, I listen to people. Cilla, for me, your opening has to be a lot stronger. It has to be a really strong start. You mentioned a quote by somebody, and the name of the person went totally over my head. Using a quote to start a speech can be very effective, but when I missed part of it, it really bothered me that I didn't know who you were referring to. The other thing, shortly after that, you referred to my friends. In a Toastmasters context, you would always say fellow Toastmasters or Mr. Contest Chair, Madam Contest Chair. They might be your friends, but you never say my friends. So for me, that was a faux pas. I liked your use of the water, but I thought you could be more effective when you were talking about the flow. When you talk about the flow, make us feel that with your gesturing, and also the way you say the word flow, just like you say crush. Make us feel that in your words. I noticed on many occasions you were glancing down at your notes. I'm sure that's because you haven't really memorized and finalized your speech. But in a competition, that really would not be acceptable. We need to have you looking at us straight in our faces the entire time. I also had difficulties because for me, at some point you were breaking up or your screen was frozen. I don't know if this is from my side or from your side, but make sure in a competition that you have all of this sorted out before you go and take the stage. You had excellent eye contact. I have never seen you better. I liked the way that you were placed in the middle of the screen and you looked directly into the screen. Your voice was powerful. Your words were engaging. Your gestures were really good. On a couple of occasions, you did, do something here very effective. But be careful. At one point, you did this gesture with your hair, and that really bothered me. That doesn't belong in a competition speech. Otherwise, yes, Vanya, you're playing with your hair now. In any event, make sure, and I'm sure you're going to work on this a lot more. Again, no notes, a little bit more energy. Your words, I think, were very moving, got us into the story. But again, I'd like a stronger start and a stronger finish. With that, I think it could be a prize-winning speech. And we certainly wish you all the best. And I know you've been in competitions before, you're not new to this. I'm sure you won't disappoint us. With that, I return control to the General Evaluator, Toastmaster Monika.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Maria Teresa. Now I would like to call on our second evaluator, who is Toastmaster Ines. Ines is going to evaluate Toastmaster Nicole. So Ines, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Toastmaster Nicole, I don't see you. You were very engaged, very comfortable, and I know you are a comfortable speaker. Your body language was one of the best I have seen so far. You looked into the camera. You had eye contact because we have pinned you, and you were really communicating with us with presence. And what I liked also about the surroundings is you were fresh, very springy, very comfortable, as I said, smiling, delivering a topic which is actually a sensitive one. Because although you have given us your experiences with the issues at hand when it comes to these workshops and as your project, you also had to tell us, where were you? Were you not really, is it not interested for you as a Toastmaster to be involved in further development and learning more about and exercising more about the evaluation issue? You did it in a very nice way, and I think that is also a talent, because you could say, I don't really think that I should have really organized this workshop when I saw that not many people signed up, especially for the second one. No, you did it in a most diplomatic, not only diplomatic, very sensitive manner. Congratulations. I think that your focal variety, because it's also one issue you asked me to look at, was very good. You made some stops, you made your point, and you give your smile. The focal variety with the combination of facial expressions were very good. I think the issue of teamwork could be elaborated a bit more, because basically you were talking about your own experience. However, in the project, you were supposed to work with a team. And I had missed in the content of your speech somehow the reference to the issue of what type of experience did you have with the team. I feel that you excelled at the issues you really wanted to work on. You can challenge yourself more by bringing in, as I said, not a very easy thing, humor, but also issues which are linked to symbolism. I like in this particular case, the reference you made to the box of chocolate, where you said, you can do so many things with the chockies. You can eat a few, you can leave it, or you can eat the whole box. That was a very nice, creative way of bringing in the experiences, which you put again in our court as Toastmaster members. Nevertheless, you could have started maybe with the box of chocolate or end with a melting ice cream made of chocolate, because one is a very solid issue. The other one is a more fluid issue, which really could help you to bring also to put the points across, which you really want to tell us when it comes to your experiences. And with that, I'm just handing it over, the meeting over to Toastmaster Monika, the General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Ines. Great evaluations of both of you, really amazing. Now it's the time of the timekeeper, our timekeeper who cannot really speak, who has no voice today, but I will try to read what she wrote. Our timekeeper timed our first speaker, Cilla, with 7 minutes and 10 seconds. And our second speaker spoke for 6 minutes and 37 seconds. If I'm not wrong, I think both were within the time that was between 5 and 10 minutes. On the table topic side, I see that all the speakers spoke between 1 and 2 minutes. So it was within time and was fine. Something else to add from our timekeeper? I don't think so. So I will go to the next person, who is our grammarian. Can you please, Lilly, can you please provide us with your report?
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I am fascinated by the various contexts. What we learn in Toastmasters is that the evaluation is the opinion, the impression of the person giving the evaluation. So let me start with my first comment was, when Cilla said Bruce Lee once say, I would correct the grammar, Bruce Lee once said. You mentioned twice what Bruce Lee say, and the correct grammar would be said. And I noticed, Cilla, occasionally it's the tense that is a little bit difficult to grasp or to get correct. You also said, Mum used to say. sorry, no, the next one was how does she manage? And the issue would have been correctly to say how did she manage? What I picked as good use of language, something exceptional, was when you quoted Bruce Lee, "Don't worry, my friends," and then went into, actually you quoted Bruce Lee and used his terminology with "my friend" at the end, and then you went into your own speech where you said, "Don't worry, my friends," and addressed us in exactly the same way that Bruce Lee does. So I found that very, very interesting. Other good use of language: master your own life, retiring was not even an option, and bam, one day to the next, and bam, again. These were issues from Cilla that I really enjoyed. I think it was Tatiana said that Nicole is a master, and I thought that was a little bit incorrect in terms of gender, which here in Austria is perhaps a little bit controversial, because the correct word would have been mistress, but mistress has other connotations. So I perhaps would suggest using a word like an expert rather than a master, because master has a connotation of the masculine rather than the feminine. You might be interested in what I have to say. Zoom fatigue, overestimated, underestimated. These are all things that I enjoyed, that I appreciated, these phrases, these terms. And in my opinion, Benjamin used the terminology data gaps in relation to his project that he's doing at work. I also was fascinated by one of the quotes that he used: "Failure is always much more productive than success." It reminded me of a debating topic I had at school once, that dissatisfaction is necessary for progress. Voyner said, "I come to be engaged." Great expression. I come to be engaged. Yes, use me. I come to be engaged. I am scared from failure. The correct wording would be I am scared of failure, not from failure. Success is to do the right thing, a good expression. I think there were so many other expressions throughout the whole meeting which were very fascinating. Ines used the word zeitgeist in relation to Eleanor Roosevelt. And Ben, another quotation from Ben: "Tell me, show me, teach me." Another one from Marie Teresa: "Honest, tactful and useful. Your voice was powerful, you were engaging." All in all, I found this a very, very good use of grammar throughout our meeting today. And I would give the Grammarian's crown to Cilla for the "Don't worry, my friends." I thought that was brilliant, to just take the use that Bruce Lee does of this terminology and to just put it into the direct relationship with us. I thought that was great. Thank you very much. Monika, you're muted.
Yes, thank you very much, Toastmaster Lilly. It's always impressive, and it's always so enriching to see how you are all mistresses in providing feedback. Can you also tell us the use of the word of the day? How many times it was used?
Yes, I hope I didn't miss. I got Nicole, Tatiana, Julia, Ben. I saw Tatiana twice. Okay. So Tatiana, I would say 1 in the use of the word coaching.
I also used it once at the beginning.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
I also used it once.
Ines, very good. So I was happy to see that it was actually being used, and I noticed that I missed a lot throughout the whole meeting. I was so fascinated listening to all the speeches that I'm sure I missed a lot more. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lilly. Adriana, you are our accountant today. Very important.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and it was a tough one today because it was so interesting. The speeches were so interesting. It was difficult to focus on that. Thank you very much. I will now proceed to read through the names and then the or word fillers, etc. Starting with Benjamin, 7, Cilla, 1, Monika, 5, Nicole, 2, Tatiana, 9, Ines, 5, Pinar, 18, Matin, 1, Voina, 8, Lilly, 2, Maria Teresa, well done, 0. I couldn't find one. Rena unfortunately couldn't get sound to work. Then I had Clara and Julia who have already left the meeting. I will just read them quickly. So Clara had 1 and Julia 4. Thank you so much. I'm not sure because I've never done that role before if I have to do anything else.
No, excellent.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
very
so
much.
much.
Our ballot counter Esten is not here today, so I will just, I have the pleasure to announce our winner today. I have to say it was very tight, really, really tight, but we have a winner, and this is Toastmasters Boina. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So now it's time for me to provide you with a short report as well with some feedback about the meeting. I think we did a great job today. We started on time. All the roles were covered in advance in Easy Speak. I love the way we complemented each other. I liked, for example, that our Toastmaster of the day explained a little bit more in detail the role of the grammarian, and I think the timekeeper as well. It was very useful. I always like the fact that we are writing our names next to, or our roles next to our names on the screen. I think that's very useful, especially for the newcomers. I think we're gonna end, we're a little bit delayed, but it's going to end more or less on time, the meeting today. And I just want to add that I'm really sorry that I missed as well this workshop prepared by Nicole. I don't know if it was because of COVID, because we were not working in the office. I have no clue. I just know I would have loved to attend it because I am one of the ones who is always afraid of being an evaluator. And I think that would be very useful for me too. So I hope that we will have the opportunity to again to have one of these workshops, and I'm certainly going to check YouTube to watch the videos. So sorry for that. But thank you to all of you, because each time I come to meetings, I'm always really inspired, and I kind of get angry with myself because I have not been very constant in the last month. I disappeared for a while, but I'm really happy to be back, and thank you for your participation. So back to you, to our Toastmasters of today.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator, for an excellent evaluation, both of the meeting by yourself and of your team's excellent work. We are now aware that we have some good points earned throughout the meeting today, and we have lessons learned also from our drawbacks. I would like to thank everyone who made an effort to participate and to make this meeting exactly as it is mentioned to be as successful by several participants, by several distinguished topic masters and Toastmasters. And I would also share this opinion, because we did not only manage to have 2 speeches very much valuable and related and relevant, I would say. We also had thinking and expressing ourselves about the quotes which were brought to us by the topic master. And of course, the evaluations were also a great opportunity for us to see and compare, maybe in our minds, what we would see as pluses and minuses of the delivered speeches. With this, I would like to thank everyone who made this event such a success and return the control of the meeting to the presiding officer for the concluding remarks.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tatiana. You did a great job. I only have one comment. Don't call people distinguished Toastmasters. That's an award in Toastmasters, the highest level that we're all aiming for. And I think Nicole is maybe getting close to it. But please, in the meantime, fellow Toastmasters. Other than that, it's time for me to ask our guests, and two have disappeared, but two are still here. The first person, who is kind of not really a guest, she's a pseudo member, but whenever she appears, it's always great to see her. And she won our table topics competition. Vonya, what were your impressions of the meeting?
Beautiful, wonderful. I loved it. I want to repeat what Ines said. There are so many Eleanor Roosevelt in here. Anytime I come here, I see excellent individuals, starting with Nicole. It's just so just wonderful, so challenging to see you, how you get engaged in a Toastmaster in a way that you bring significance to all the topics that you share. The evaluations that Maria Teresa shares, Inez, they're mistake-free. There's so much depth in our talks in here that is really uplifting. I don't know if I ever been in a group where people contribute so much in terms of self-development. And I will close with one quote from tennis: fail once, fail again, fail better. Beautiful. It's a pleasure to be here always, always. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Vonya. And with that, why don't you come more often? We'd like to see you. We'd like to see you regularly. How about that?
Yes, I will. Yeah.
No pressure, no pressure, no pressure. No pressure, no pressure. So it's time for me, because we're running a little bit late and timing is important. I'd like to ask Martine, what were your impressions of this meeting? Was it what you expected, or how did you feel? How did you react to this group?
I had a pleasure. I will say that first because it's the most important. I had fun, pleasure, and I like the questions, the topics, to be honest, to be correct. The last question about thinking globally and acting locally, which kind of reflects what I'm doing right now in my life. So yeah, I had fun. I have been happy throughout the time of session.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. We hope to see you again.
Thank you very much.
We hope to see you again. And with that, I hope to see everybody on the 5th of April, because you know what I miss in Zoom? The applause and the friendly faces that are close, that are not on the computer screen. So again, mark your calendars, 5th of April. Other than that, I wish you a beautiful sunny afternoon here in Vienna. Again, maybe some of you have been in winter hibernation. It's time to come out of the hibernation. It's spring, it's rebirth, it's living all over again. So come back to Toastmasters. We miss you. And with that,
Maria Teresa, if I may say something, I really would like as many of us to support our two candidates at the area meeting.
Yes.
It's going to be on Zoom, so we have no excuse.
Absolutely.
We don't have to participate to the whole meeting. We don't have to be there the whole day, but to be there when they're going to speak. Thank you.
When is this going to be, Nicole?
Well, Maria Teresa is going to tell you that, but
I'd have to look through my paperwork. But in any event, we will keep you posted.
The area level is on the 3rd of April, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so that will be before our get together.
Is it the second? Is that a Saturday?
It is. It should be a Saturday. Yes.
Then it's the
Sunday.
second. The
That's Sunday.
second. Then it's the
Third
2nd of April. 2 April.
Okay, then it's the 2nd of April. But,
Second.
Cilla should know because she's going to be there. So. But anyway, it's on that weekend. So maybe Maria Teresa will send you an email to remind you.
Or better put, if anybody's interested, you're welcome to contact me. And most of you know my email, or you can give me a call. You can find my phone number, by the way, on EasySpeak. It's published there. With that, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I agree with Matan. We had fun, but I think we learned a lot. And that's what it's all about. And it's learning by doing. So with that, I officially close this Toastmaster meeting. I wish you well. Goodbye, and thank you everybody for participating. And you did a great job.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
And
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for the Zoom master of the day.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it was
Absolutely.
really